2025. My right-wing audience, if any of them are left, because they all seem to vanish, just like when the left was out of control and I was calling them out during the BLM scam. All the left-wing folks went quiet and disappeared. Right now, the right wing is desperate to compete with the left from that failed movement. So the right wing wants to show, we can be we want the trophy of the most horrible people in the country, right? We saw what was coming from the left with the Antifa nonsense and the BLM mansion purchase scam that certainly dishonest people like Candace Owens love to point out for partisan reasons, obviously. Right wing saw that and they said, listen, man, hold my beer. Hold my beer. That's what the American conservatives said. So I'm going to make a statement that I am pretty confident about. That's a sad reality, and it also demonstrates the anti-American sentiment from the American conservatives. Like, a lot of what they say, it's BS, right? All this talk about the Constitution and founding fathers and all this kind of stuff, it's all just talking points, man. They don't really care about none of that stuff. They're perfectly fine letting the country burn, right? These are the same people who, when Biden was president, act like Biden's gonna destroy the country, and now they have someone who's actively doing that and can do much worse than he's already doing, and they would sit by and let it happen. They would abandon their fellow Americans, right? That's where they're at right now, right? Now, dishonest actors or chronically online brainworm folks would disagree, and they would, the thing is, the arguments that they would make are based on their Ben Shapiro brain, right? Ben Shapiro likes to find the most radical and ridiculous folks on the left to make videos of, make fun of them. But these weirdos are people that, the typical left-winger have never even heard about, right? Nobodies. They're freaks, right? The freak of the freaks is who Ben Shapiro talks about. So someone hearing this video on the right will, think in those terms and think that it's ridiculous what I'm saying. But the reality is that that's not where the normal left-wing person, whether they're progressive or even democratic socialists, it's not those crazies that Ben Shapiro likes to make videos about. So this is where we're at in 2025 with the American conservative movement. And it's not a conservative movement, it's an anti-liberal movement. Like, that's the fact. That's the thing. It's a movement based on lies. Just about everything that they say, stand for, and all about, it's a lie. Even the name, it's not conservative. It's not conservative. They're not about small government and limited government and the government shouldn't be so powerful and the government shouldn't be controlling our lives. Let me tell you how much that's a lie. Donald Trump, right now, he can, and it looks like he's about to, he can deploy the military in every single blue city. Every single blue city. Regardless of red states having higher murder rates or anything like that, right? He can, for partisan reasons, deploy the military in every blue state, and the American conservatives will sit by and let it happen. There will not be conservatives in the street saying this is wrong, this goes against our principles. I'm a conservative. I don't agree with those far left wackos, right? I think they're crazy with their trans, whatever. But I'm a conservative and we don't stand for government overreach. And this is government overreach. We stand for freedom. We're not going to stand by and have the military deployed. Oh, it's not deployed where I'm living. I don't care. I'm an American. I love this country. I'm a patriot. So I don't want them deployed where I am. I don't want them deployed in states with people that I don't like either, because I'm an actual conservative, right? That's not what's going to happen. The conservatives, and again, I'm not just talking about like the radicals, right? from the radicals all the way to the sort of center-right people, they will sit by and do nothing. There's not going to be any fight. So factually, they don't care about freedom. They don't care about, government should be whatever. Because to the far right, it's easy. You just do it and they don't care. They'll love it, actually. But to the normal sort of center-right folks, all you got to do is give them the lamest excuse and they will buy it. That's where they're at. It's a cult, right? What used to be a conservative movement has been taken over by a cult. So you don't have so there's not normal people who just think normally. They're all like, their brains are just fried. So you have a center-right person, right? If you just do it, then they'll be like, hey, what's going on? I still don't think they're gonna go in the streets. Right, straight up, I still don't think they're going in the streets to go protest and say this is wrong and government overreach and this is too far, and I love that Trump is closing the border, I love that he's getting immigrants out, but deploying military in these streets in my country that I love, that I have the flag waving? No, hell no. I'm not going to stand, and I'm not standing with the left or the liberals or whatever. I'm standing as an American that this is wrong, and even if we're going to do separate, like we're going to do our separate, right-wing protests. We don't want to protest with the left because we're not with them. Even that, but we're going to protest. That's not going to happen, right? And by the way, so I got distracted. For the center-right people, all you have to do is give them the lamest of excuses. So Trump could just say, listen, there's a lot of crime in this country, right? I was elected for immigration and for security and safety and law enforcement, right? And all you gotta do is quote the statistics. There's been 100 murders in this, 100 murders, and then if you push back and you say, oh, actually, there's more murders in this red state, right? All Trump has to do, and we're talking about for the center-right people, right? The supposed normal people who aren't like the super partisan or whatever. This is all it takes to get them on your side, right? All you got to say is, listen, man, that's propaganda, right? You believe those statistics? That's liberal propaganda trying to make that the red states are more. That's nonsense. That is not true. The crime is higher in the blue states by far. There's no, I just keep saying that, right? You don't have to back it up with any evidence or whatever. Just say it confidently. Trump just got to come online and say it. Fox News, same thing. Just get on the news and say, hey, the liberals are trying to say that the red states have more crime, and that's false. And then if you really push back hard and you bring up some reports, then all you got to do is you say, listen, the amount of crime happening in DC and these blue states, it's underreported. That's what you guys don't understand. When they say 200 murders, it's probably 600 murders, right? Again, you don't have to back this up with any evidence, right? That's how easy it is. Just say stuff like this. Just get on Fox News and say, it's underreported. And they'll even say, how these pro terrorist left wingers, what is it? Oh my goodness, Gaza. Getting old. You know what I'm talking about. You support the terrorists, right? The pro-terrorist people, they say that the death count is underreported. Well, you know what? The crimes are underreported in these blue cities. So when you actually take into account, and then somebody like Ben Shapiro could come up with some analogy or something where it's like, oh, what happens is they change the report so that what classifies as a violent crime is different because of all this, like they're trying to make poor people, it's not crime, it's poverty, and we have equality for all and everything like that, and they didn't mean to steal the iPods, they just did it because they're trying to feed their families, you know what I mean? So, and then they'll say something like California, they're practically encouraging them to go and steal stuff. You steal $1,000, under $1,000, they let you walk right out. Right? So a lot of the crimes are not being reported. So the statistics that they're telling you are wrong. If we really report on the crimes, you would see they're far more in the red states, right? And that's it. A regular center-right person would just be like, seems correct, makes sense. And they would continue to sit by and allow Trump to do whatever he want to do. any political opponent of Donald Trump that mouths off to him too much, Donald Trump can easily, in a couple months, have them investigated like he did with Bolton, have them investigated or something, and make up something and like, oh, we're investigating them because they're doing something with China or whatever. I know nothing solid behind it, right? And I'm sorry to say, from the far right all the way to the center right, not everyone obviously, but overwhelmingly, they will sit by and allow it to happen. They will allow their fellow Americans to be treated in such an un-American way. They will allow the freedom of other Americans to be taken away. Now, the very dishonest actors will talk about the far left, and they'll make claims about the far left. Well, they did it to us, so we should do it back to them, right? And they'll pretend as if they aren't normal Americans who happen to be liberal or progressive, who are not politically involved, so don't have any connection to any of this stuff. They've just been living their lives, trying to take care of their family. They haven't been involved in politics at all. And these people are having their freedoms taken away, their lives threatened, or whatever damage that Trump does. But they'll just pretend like they don't exist and pretend like the Ben Shapiro image of the left, that's how the left all is, right? So everyone on the left, liberals, whatever, they're all the same. They're all radical. Oh, trans swimmers, we're trans swimmers. I'm a trans swimmer. Look at my boobs. It's just like, so they have this mentality. And this is the way, when you demonize, as a strategy, your political opponent, where you just make it so that anyone that's not on the right are just crazy radicals who believe in all kinds of stuff that you think is immoral. They're killing babies or whatever, right? And then when you do that, you get to eliminate all the normal people who aren't part of that, right? Because if you think about those people, it's a little sticky. Like, okay, well, Trump is doing this stuff. I like that the radical left is getting a lesson taught to them. But what about these people who are just like normal people who are just kind of on the liberal side? What about those people? That's a little complicated, right? But if you just think of them all just a bunch of radicals, the trans, they want to trans the babies and they want to kill babies and this and that and they're pedophiles. When you think like that, then it's like Trump could do whatever he wants to do. And you as a American conservative would just sit by and be like, well, right? Somebody pushes you hard on that point. Then you talk about, what about in 2020 when the Black Lives Matter and how many people lost their lives and they were burning all the cities and whatever, and did you do anything? Were you in the streets standing up against it? Even that being the case, right? That's the argument you're gonna make. So we're children, right? So you believe that you were abandoned by the left when 2020 was going on and they were burning down the cities, right? So your response is you're going to do the same thing. So that says that you're okay with it. You're just as bad, right? If you're not going to take the higher road, right, and lead by example, you're just as bad, right? It's like someone has a beef with someone. Instead of going after that person, they go and they kill their family, right? And then you say, you're a savage, da-da-da-da. But then somebody has a beef with you, and instead of killing you, they kill somebody in your family. I'm sorry. So somebody does that, but then you go do the same thing, right? So somebody messes with you, instead of you going after them, you go after their family, right? And then when somebody says you're a savage, you say, what do you mean I'm a savage? They did the same thing. No. That's not how it works, right? Either you support the thing or you're against the thing. If you believe that going after somebody's family for something that had nothing to do, if you believe that's wrong and that's savagery, then you shouldn't be doing the same thing. If you believe that you were abandoned by the left in 2020 and the cities were burning down and they were anti-American, right? Okay, fine. Let's say that that's the case. Well, so are you. So the whole country's anti-American, right? The left wing, regular people, right, who weren't involved in Black Lives Matter, but they saw it happening and they did nothing, right? They're anti-American, and the American conservatives are also anti-American because they have Trump right now infringing on rights, infringing on free speech, infringing on, basically politicizing the government. And think about all the things they complain about with Joe Biden. Old, funky, old, in my view, corrupt Joe Biden, right? When he was a president, We had all these buffoons like Matt Taibbi and whatever. Oh, free speech and the government colliding with the corporation and trying to do speech. Free speech and freedom and freedom and this is wrong and right now Trump is in power. Trump can go sue some news company because they supposedly edited a video, but it wasn't really the way they presented it as, but he's suing them, going after people for saying mean things. I mean, all of this control of free speech. Literally, he reached out to the right-wing press and told them to back off on exposing him for this Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Right? Where's the Twitter files? Where's the Matt Taibbi? Oh, freedom of speech. Oh, the government. Nowhere to be found. Right? Nowhere to be found. All right, guys. Let me see who's in the chat right now. We got Heja is in the house. I hope that Muslim community will grow day by day. I don't know what that means. I need help, please. I need help, please, please. What are you talking about, Bob Street? I hope the Muslim population decreasing. What are you guys talking about? Make up something. Are you totally mental? The J6ers spent time in. Oh man. Trump is just a grifter. End of story. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. Is held for review. What rights have you lost? I don't know, guys. But for those of you guys that just on the live stream right now, the statement I made is that Trump could literally deploy the military in every blue state and the American conservatives will sit by and do nothing, right? All their supposed values of small government and government overreach, it's all bullshit, right? The right-wing movement has become nothing more than a cult. It's a cult of liars, a cult of grifters, cult of personality, of course, Trump at the top. Nothing that they claim to stand for means anything. None of it. The freedom of speech, even the gun stuff, right? They voted for the guy who, what did he do? He pushed for gunning bump stock or something like that, and they still voted for him anyway, right? Trump could right now go and ban guns in all the blue cities, right? And all these gun rights people would just be like, well, they're the ones who they wanted a gun ban, so great, it's okay. Yeah, take away their gun rights, gun rights for us and not for you. Like, the main point I'm trying to make is there's no red line. I shouldn't say that. There's not literally no red line, but there's almost no red line, right? Trump could do just about whatever he wants to do in violation of every conservative principle that they claim, and there'll be little consequences. Look at right now. He's protecting a pedophile ring, right? Trump literally is protecting a pedophile ring. I believe because he's involved, but regardless of whether he's involved or not, he's going to let the Clintons get away. He's going to let, the billionaires and the elites who molested those children, right? Trump is openly protecting pedophiles and just some of the worst people, right? He's protecting them. They have all the files. He's playing games about, oh, we're going to do the court this and whatever. And you see how quickly all the MAGA, like, oh, we got to release it. Where's that gone? Nothing. All that was bullshit. All Trump needs to do is buy time, which is what he's doing. And this is what I said was going to do. I said from the beginning that this is going to go nowhere. Trump is not going to release anything. He's going to cover it up. In fact, the only person who is held accountable is possibly going to get off, right? She's already been moved to a better facility, and all these bullshit MAGA cultists, they're perfectly fine with it. In this moment, like you listen to CNN, you think Trump is doing horribly. Trump is still one of the most loved presidents in history by his base. And not just, I shouldn't just say base, right? By the Republican Party, right? The Republican Party loves the guy who's protecting pedophiles. The Republican Party loves the guy who, we had a guy from Israel who came here and messing with kids and is allowed to just go back home to Israel, tied directly to Mr. Bibi, right? Bullshit Bibi, right? And the Republican voters are okay with that, right? They're okay with having a president protecting pedophiles. They're okay with a pedophile coming into this country and getting let off like that. None of that matters, right? I think we just had another Republican that was just got charged with something, the child porn, or again, right? This is the Republican Party, and the voters, you know, they love it. It's one thing if it's one thing if you voted for Trump because he's the better he's the better alternative, right? It's either you get the trans swimmers everywhere I look. It's either you get that, or you get the guy who's gonna clean up the border or whatever, right? And you said, Trump, I don't like him, everything he says, but he's gonna clean up the border. It's better than that other thing, right? That's one thing. But after he wins and he cleans up the border and he does, stops the DEI stuff that you don't like, and then you see him doing all this authoritarian stuff, deploying the military and curtailing freedom of speech, and you still love him. That's the whole thing. It's like, you can't just say, I don't like everything he does and I just voted because it's better than the alternative. But then when he's elected, you just allow him to do whatever, and at the same time, it's not just you allow him, you also love him, right? Because let me let you understand. So if I was a conservative and I was concerned about the border and trans kids and whatever stuff, in this moment, I would be attacking Trump more than the left, right? I would be happy that he delivered on the things that I cared about. Like, so when I voted, so me as a conservative, this is how I would be as a conservative, right? Because I have integrity, right? If I was a conservative, I voted for Trump because of the border and trans whatever, and I think DEI is dumb or whatever it is. If that's what I voted for, right? On one hand, I would be like, thank you, Trump, for cleaning up the border. I really appreciate it. But on the other hand, fuck with this military in these cities. And what you're saying doesn't make any sense. You're lying to us. Like, this is not what this country was founded on. Our founding fathers would be turning their graves. I do not stand for this. I voted for you, and I voted for you for these things that you did, and I'm happy that you did them. But what you're doing right now, this is bullshit. But that's not what you see. You have people who voted supposedly for the lesser of two evils, but meanwhile, they love it. They love him. They're happy. Ask them how they feel about Trump. I give him an A+, an A-, right? So stop with the lies and the bullshit. This is what you like. This is what you support. You support, if you are a Republican voter in 2025, you support covering up for pedophiles. You support pedophiles coming into the country and then being allowed to go back to Israel and just, no big deal, whatever. You're okay with that. You're okay with a president who possibly is a pedophile himself. If he's not a pedophile, we know that he was friends with a pedophile for 10 years. And there's no way that this guy was trafficking girls from Mar-a-Lago and Trump didn't know about it. Right? I mean, because if that's the case, then Trump's a buffoon. And why would you vote for a buffoon? Right? If Trump's not a buffoon, there's no way you could be friends with somebody for 10 years and have them trafficking girls out of his own club and Trump didn't know. So Trump must have known at a minimum. More likely he was involved, right? But at a minimum, he was friends with a child sex trafficker, just like Matt Gaetz, who also won his election. So that's the thing. You could say all the bullshit you want, but your actions are what matters, right? You want to protect the kids and the kids, this and the kids and the kids and the pedophile and the trans kids, right? You could say all that bullshit, right? But then a good friend of a child sex trafficker, convicted sex trafficker, a good friend of a child sex trafficker, you vote he won, I think, by a landslide. He won his election easily. So Republican voters were happy to vote for a good friend of a pedophile, a person who himself is probably a pedophile, right? Matt Gaetz. You have potential pedophile Matt Gaetz, potential pedophile Donald Trump, potential pedophile Donald Trump who, not potential, but actually is protecting and covering up for pedophiles. The Republican base is happy with this, right? Because again, if you weren't, he wouldn't be rated so high. It would be like, listen, he's doing great with the border, he's doing great with whatever, the trans thing and the DEI. I love that stuff, but I can't give you an A or a B or even a C when you're protecting pedophiles. right? I'm sorry, right? You can't just because let's put it this way. So I'll put it from my perspective. So let's say that I'm a Bernie bro and I vote for Bernie and he's doing all this like progressive stuff and he's helping out the poor and whatever. And I'm like, great, he brought up minimum wage, he did stuff for healthcare. Now we have free healthcare, right? But then he's also protecting pedophiles. How can I give Bernie Sanders a B or a C, right? I mean, if you ask me to grade him on helping the poor, okay, on that I could say, maybe it's an A minus or a B plus. But overall, I'm sorry, the amount of points that you lose for protecting pedophiles, for covering up for pedophiles, the amount of points that you lose, there's no way you could get an A plus, A minus. But this is what the American conservative movement, which is actually, again, anti-liberal movement, this is where they're at in 2025, right? They are at in 2025 that he closed the border and he's got rid of the DEI, whatever. So if he wants to protect pedophiles, I'm okay with it. They're not going to say that, of course, but their actions. It's not about what you say. It's about your actions, right? The fact that Trump is highly loved. All the noise we heard about this and that, and release the files and Epstein files and, Pam Bondi. Where's the Pam Bondi protest? They were talking about Pam Bondi and Bongino. What happened? What happened? They don't give a fuck. They don't care that the president might have been a pedophile. They don't care that the president is, in fact, covering up for a pedophile. They don't care that the president just gave a child sex trafficker, one of the biggest in the world, move to a better situation. I think she was actually even allowed to leave the prison. That is the American anti-liberal movement, the Republican base today. From the far right all the way to the center right, I don't see much. There's not much space between them, right? Because look, like I told you, I was talking to somebody who, seemed to be on the liberal side, living in a blue city, and talking about Trump and the tariffs, and this is not good. And then this person was kind of like, well, Bill Maher met with him, and he said it was kind of nice and what. You see what I mean? So that's a liberal guy in a blue city who, somebody who make a lot of money, right? So normally not an idiot. And he's talking about Trump might be a nice guy because Bill Maher. So if you are a center-right person, right, you're down with this. You're down with the government overreach. You're down with the, Trump curbing freedom of speech, right? People are, and now even the Palantir, all the stuff that Alex Jones warned us about, you're okay with that, right? Government surveillance, this Palantir stuff, this whole thing about, they're going through your social media posts. Remember the Twitter file. Again, remember the Twitter file, right? Twitter, oh my goodness, the government is talking to the social media platforms and this and that is blocking stories. And now they got no issues with Trump and his administration going through people's social media posts, trying to see who is saying the wrong things about Israel. You're anti-Semitic. You don't deserve to speak. Get them out of the country. They said some bad things about some other country. You can say bad things about America, but don't you dare say bad things about Israel. Otherwise, off with your head. The Republican base, this is where they're at in 2025. This is where they're at. Right? So he's actually a woman that would make sense. Hey, relax, facts. Hey, relax, facts. Hey, relax, facts. No, a throwaway. I thought a judge stopped the Epstein file release. Oh, yes! You see what I'm saying? Steve Jones says, I thought a judge stopped the Epstein file release. Ain't nobody could stop the Epstein file release. They have the files. They have them already. They can give them out at any point that they want to. This is insane. They have the files. Truckloads of files. They have them. The whole thing about the grand jury testimony, that was a bait and switch. Come on, guys, really? From the get-go, it was known they probably weren't going to get that. And then even if they do get it, That's not the goodies. The goodies is what they have now. What Pambani has, what Bongino has, what Trump has. What Trump is saying, don't release. Under no circumstances should the American people see the truth about Epstein. That's what Trump is saying, right? And here's somebody in my chat talking about some grand jury stuff being blocked by a judge. Bullshit decoy. Sorry, I have too much respect for women. Okay. This guy needs to be investigated. This motherfucker, TDS is real. President Trump is doing an awesome job. See, there you go. Are Democrats actually robots? Okay, so obviously there's only one thing that I should be saying in this moment. The most important thing that has to be said. Everyone needs to listen up. This is like the most important. If you don't remember anything from what I've said in this live stream, you have to remember this, right? This is the most important thing in the country right now. Rolling down the street doing 83, crashed into a tree near a university, escaped alive though the car was battered, rat-a-tat-tat, and all the cops scattered. Ran up the stairs to the top floor, and there, guess who he saw? Dave, the dope fiend shooting dope, who don't know the meaning of water nor soap. This was brought to you by TDS. The Telecommunications Department of Systems. Let me see what's being held. You're a monkey. Show. Okay, we got another moderator. There's a moderator in the house. So obviously he thinks someone else is as stupid as he is. John, what are you talking about? You have respect for women, John. Shortwave says, you're really good at rapping. I want to hear it once again. Okay. Rolling down the street doing 83, crashed into a tree near a university, escaped alive though the car was battered, a rat-a-tat-tat, and all the cops scattered, ran out the door. I keep getting mixed up in this. And I know I'm mixing up some of the lyrics. Is anybody old enough to know what song that is? Nobody knows the song that I'm rapping. Nobody knows my trouble. Nobody knows the song that I'm singing. Nobody knows my sorrow. People are like, oh, he's singing now. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Come on, click on the like button. What other live stream do you get singing and rapping in the video? That deserves a like at least, man. Nobody knows. Me singing is like the nightclub late at night when they turn the lights on and they start playing country music and everybody starts clearing out. Unforgettable says, I'm so grateful Trump won, proving my point. So he proves my point. Unforgettable first LLC. Unforgettable first LLC. He's so grateful that Trump won. He says amen. I still don't know what John Stevens is talking about. Sorry, I thought only a woman could be this delusional. Wait. Why would he say that? Is he trying to, what is he trying to say? Why would he say only a woman? Is he calling me a woman? Unforgettable. I said first, it's fire. I can't even read. Either that or I'm blind. Unforgettable fire LCD. Oh man. LCD. I'm gonna say LCD. Unforgettable fire LCD. Do you need more drugs or less drugs? I'm high on life. Life is the best drug ever. I just took 3 inches off my waist. And I lost 11 pounds. 11 pounds. So I did my cut, and now it's time to do my bulk. Right? That's hard work. I put in some hard work. I was doing 10-minute miles, 9-minute miles, 8-minute miles, 7-minute miles. Then I broke down to 6-minute mile. Now I'm pushing on 5. Why are you skipping my question? You have no answer. It's okay. What is your question? My name is Ear. Ask the question. Steve Jobs. That's not a question. Trump is doing great things. I don't know what your question is, man. It's probably a dumb question, but I don't know what your question is. Aja. Got some weirdo. I do not see a question, man. So maybe that's why I didn't answer the question, because I don't see a question. Was your question so out of order that that it was blocked? This is Your Mind on MSNBC. So, John Stevens thinks that this is my mind on MSNBC. MSDNC. So you think that propaganda network, MSNBC, is something that would have any effect whatsoever on my mind? Oh, I get it. You watch propaganda, so you assume that I do as well. Obviously, I watch propaganda because I comment on propaganda. That's the focus of this channel. But I comment on and expose propaganda and expose the tricks, as opposed to me being manipulated by it, right? Like, I'm not the guy to get manipulated by it, because I expose it, right? I expose Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Fox News, Newsmax, CNN, MSNBC, Adam Mockler, Luke Beasley, Brian Tyler Cohen, the Young Turks, the Vanguard, pretty much you name it, on the left or the right in the media. Most of these guys are propagandists, right? Mainstream media is bad, but independent media is far worse, right? But again, you think that other people are like you. You obviously are. If you think Trump's doing a great job, obviously you're watching propaganda, right? Just like how left-wing people who think that Joe Biden was a great president, right? They think that because, like you, they're in their echo chambers and they watch people like Kyle Kulinski talking about, oh, he did better than I expected. He did better than I expected. Trump really did better than I expected. As if that means anything, right? So all the media they watch are telling them, oh, Biden's great. He's the most progressive president. So they say Biden's great. He's the most progressive president. You watch right-wing bullshitters that do the same thing in terms of the echo chamber, right? Who tell you Trump is great, Trump is great, Trump is great, right? So you assume that I also watch a bunch of propaganda like you, and it shapes my views, as opposed to I live in reality. Like, you are in the Matrix. I'm not in the Matrix with you, right? You are in the Matrix, right? You are being controlled. Your strings are being pulled. I am the one that's shining the light and showing people who is pulling your strings. The left-wing propagandists, the right-wing propagandists, the liberal corporate media propagandists, the conservative mainstream media propagandists. So try again, John Stevens. Did you vote for Trump? It's all a lie. John thinks you have a functional no mind. Why do you think I know how bad MSNBC is? Yes, I watch MSNBC. Okay. On that note, since no one is able to challenge a single point that I made, which further proves my point, right? And that's one thing. So if you are a liberal or progressive or anyone who still doesn't fully understand what's happening with the American conservative movement, I want you to understand that I guarantee you a bunch of Trump supporters came into this live stream, heard all my points, and were unable to challenge a single point. You may not have noticed that, right? You may not have noticed that. If you need to rewind the video, rewind it and do it. You look at the comments, right? Not a single point that I made was challenged. They didn't even try to make a lame argument or nothing. They didn't even try to tell me that I'm wrong in terms of my points. All I got was ad hominem attacks, right? You're delusional, you're watching MSNBC, you know, the TDS, you got TDS, and what freedoms did you lose? What freedom, right? Not a single point was challenged. We had a ton of people in here watching this video, and not a single one was able to say, actually, you're wrong. Because when Trump did this, actually this happened, or you're wrong because you said this, but actually the truth is something else, or actually Trump never said he's going to deploy to other countries. What you said, other states, that's a lie, or you know, Trump never silenced anyone's free. Look, notice they're not even challenging it. They're not even trying to say that I'm wrong, right, in terms of my points. They're not even, they will come in here to say Trump is the best and I love Trump and Trump is doing great stuff. But with all of the harsh criticisms that I made, not a single point was challenged. Nothing I said, they said that's wrong and it's wrong because this. All I got was name calling. Everyone's free to speak. I don't block, free to speak. I don't block people. You want to insult me, you want to call me names, say I'm stupid, you look like you're having a medical episode, or I don't know, right? You have all these comments to make, but unable to address a single point. No point about Republican voters voting easily for the best friend of a convicted child sex trafficker. No one challenged that. No challenge on the fact that Trump is right now covering up for the biggest child sex trafficking ring ever. No challenge on that. No one said, no, you're wrong. He's actually releasing the files. Of course you can't say it because he's not releasing the files, because you know what I'm saying is the truth. And since you can't challenge the truth, it's just name calling and trolling and random comments, right? So if I were wrong, right, someone in here as a conservative would be able to correct me and inform and like, no, this is actually not true. They'd be able to challenge my points, right? Because it's not just a certain group of people that's watching, right? You have all types of people, right? Maybe you never voted before, your first time voting for Trump, or maybe you might be MAGA, or maybe you're just a conservative, right? Regardless of where you're on the spectrum, if you like Trump, for some reason, you were unable to challenge all the points that I made. I wonder why that is. And look at, even if people got caught up in the live stream and, you know, they didn't realize, like, oh, actually I should have made a point. I just brought this up. So now would be the time to come in and say, actually, and I still don't say anything. Let's see. If you don't listen to all, you can't understand anything. We stand with Mr. Trump. That's the response. I challenge that everything you said is stupid. See? That's the argument. Everything I said is stupid. You're dumb. What's your argument? So, I believe that water is wet and fire is hot. Okay, what's your position? You're dumb. You're dumb. That's the American conservative movement. Children. I came in to Kate to hear your points, apparently. Oh, too late. Okay. I'm just happy Kamala lost. Okay. I'm glad the border is closed. Okay. Cora says, you're right about Taco Trump. Interesting thing. Taco is really a thing on Wall Street. Look it up. Not the taco trade. I mean, taco trade, yeah, whatever. But it's actually a term that preceded Trump, by the way. Just to be clear, the way it's being used against Trump, that's a separate thing. But I'm just saying that there was already a taco thing which existed, which I thought was interesting. What can you tell me about Ashley Biden's diary? Trump even went to the rapist Bill's events. Yeah, they were friends. These are friends, right? If I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna end on this just to further expose the BS. Donald Trump, if I'm not mistaken, currently still has in his residence, one of his residences, a photo of him and Bill Clinton. I'm gonna say it again. Trump has up a photo of him and Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, the guy who he says was on the jet so many times, the guy who they went to each other's weddings, right? Bill Clinton, the guy who, isn't there something about Clinton list? Supposedly Clinton's killed a bunch of people, and Trump has him on the wall, all the while, yeah, and Clinton was on that jet 26 times. Yeah, Clinton, oh, that guy Clinton. And the base is like, yeah, Clinton. Like, they're so dumb. They're so dumb. This is Trump. And look, the cover-up is going to protect the Clintons. So Trump is able to protect Clinton while pretending to be Clinton's enemy. And by the way, didn't Hillary Clinton say something nice about Trump recently? It's such bullshit. It is such bullshit. And Elon Musk beefing with Trump. Meanwhile, where's the lawsuit? Elon Musk says Trump is on the list, and Trump doesn't sue Elon Musk, but Trump sues everybody else. Why? It's all bullshit. Anyway, on that note, this is Baby Channel. Debate in the comment section below. This is the Baby Channel. Debate in the comment section below. Click the like button, subscribe, press that bell. Be well. So Trump should be punished for being seen with Bill Clinton. John Stevens, if that's what you got from my statement, I can understand why you like Trump. Because if I were Trump, you'd be an easy target for me to manipulate. The truth hurts. Anyway, on that note, I'm out.